Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Space to Be for the season of Lent. A very special welcome to all of you who are here for the first time. I wonder what Lent means to you. Maybe the words self-examination, giving something up, wilderness come to mind. I don't know about you, but I feel I have been traveling in the wilderness for a long time during this pandemic, having been denied many of the joys in life, which I may in the past have taken for granted. Inwardly, I wondered if I really wanted to recognize Lent at all this year. I felt it was going to be like my experience of climbing Rosemary topping in North Yorkshire a few years ago. An uphill trudge through wind and a drizzly mist, looking at my feet, slipping backwards on the loose shale, urged on by Len saying, "It'll be worth it." Well, I remember what it felt like when I reached the top. Once I could stand upright and my breathing returned to normal, I noticed through the mist a beautiful panoramic view emerging, a kaleidoscope of greens and blues, of scudding clouds and shadows. The beauty of the landscape had been a moment of awe and wonder, a moment of beauty. I think the problem is we are all feeling wearied by the events of the last year. We may need to rest to physically restore ourselves, but it is possibly more likely that we are feeling depleted spiritually by all the restrictions from social contact. I feel like a glass half empty, but resting is not going to fill that glass again. The glass needs to be refilled by simple experiences which bring me to life. So this year, my Lenten experience is quite different. I would like to encourage you to come along with me on the Lenten journey in the wilderness, looking for beauty in our desire to draw closer to God, to his very heart. When rain falls in a desert, the arid ground blooms in a miraculous and vibrant way. I'm holding these biblical words in my mind. I choose to pitch my tent in the land of hope. No human being has the answer of how to live well in a pandemic. We have to become dependent on the faithfulness and promises of Jesus. We can all look towards a glimmer of light and hope on the horizon, and Easter joy to be experienced like the emergence of flowers in the desert when we eventually emerge from the lockdown. So as we listen to a piece of music, I wonder if you would like to ask yourself, what in the world around me is beautiful? What does beauty mean to you? Is it something you can analyze, or is it more of an experience? So let us start at the beginning with creation. Beauty was the first word. At the beginning of Lent, I waited with anticipation for the first photographs sent back to Earth from the scientific expedition to Mars. It is an outstanding scientific feat, but the scenes of dull grey rock were a little disappointing to my eye and contrasted wildly with the poetic description of the creation of Earth from the book of Genesis. In the opening chapter of the Bible, the Spirit of God hovered over the formless world. It was shapeless and lifeless. Gradually, God called everything into being. Everything on earth, beneath the earth, above the earth. There is a refrain running through this story. In our usual translations, it says, "And God saw that it was good." The word good in English gives the impression of being morally right, upright, correct. It is, I feel, quite a judgmental word. But the ancient Greek translation of the story of creation uses the word kairos, which translated into English means beautiful. God saw that it was beautiful. God saw the light and it was beautiful. He created the sun and the moon and it was beautiful. He created the mountains, the seas, the forests, the birds, the animals, and he saw that they were beautiful. And when he created man, God saw that it was very, very beautiful. The pinnacle of his creation to echo the life of God. Desmond Tutu's version of the creation story for children captures this essence of beauty. In the beginning, God's love bubbled over when there was nothing else. No trees, no birds, no animals, no sky, no sea. Only darkness. And out of this love, God spoke, "Let there be light." And there was day, and there was night. And when the first day was done, God smiled and knew that it was beautiful. Science gives us an insight into the universe. The spacecraft Voyager 1 set off in 1977 to travel to the outer limits of our universe. 1977, the year my daughter was born. It arrived 13 years later, in 1990. As it reached this point, 4 billion miles away from Earth, it looked back and took one final photograph of Earth. In the beauty of a shaft of sunlight emerges a tiny speck. That is Earth. Everyone who has ever lived their life, men and women of vision, all the so-called superstars, every mother, every father, all the supreme leaders who have built civilizations which have then crumbled. Everyone who has ever lived their life has lived it out on this tiny mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. Before any of this was created, God thought of you, his plans for you, loved you into being. You are a beautiful part of his creation. The whole universe is shot through with beauty. Every aspect of nature expresses the beauty of God. You express the beauty of God. Can you see something of the beauty of God in your world?
Isn't it a miracle that crocuses bloom, butterflies in April, and rainbows in June? Daffodils and children have the same kind of smile, and you can take your shoes off and splash in water for a while, and you can hear angels singing in the cooing of a dove, or give a person something simply out of love, and God will paint the colors on the clouds for us to see, and we can watch together, and we can watch together, you standing next to me. And you can hear angels singing in the cooing of a dove, or give a person something simply out of love, and God will paint the colors on the clouds for us to see, and we can watch together, and we can watch together, you standing next to me.
I am fortunate. My front garden is a glorious explosion of spring colour and delicately formed flowers and leaves. But as I contemplated the scene the other day, my eyes were drawn to a tall stump of a very old oak tree. It is still alive, but it is dying. It takes 300 years for an oak tree to die naturally. Can I see God's beauty in this particular aspect of nature? Gradually, as I reflected in the silence on the oak tree, I began to appreciate that its beauty is embodied in the essence of its being. I am discovering that beauty is not in the eye of the beholder. This stump stands majestic and wise, a little cosmos of life, depending on this aged, decaying tree. The tree gives life, hope, security to such a variety of nature. Its beauty is revealed in its sacred purpose. I wonder if you've come across the practice of Lectio Divina for reading a passage from scripture or perhaps a poem. I'm sure many of you have. Well, in brief, there are 4 parts to this practice. If you take a psalm, for instance, like Psalm 42, the first thing to do is to read it slowly several times and chew it over so that its meaning emerges. Gradually, a phrase or a word will fall from the text, waiting for you to catch it like a leaf falling in autumn. In this particular psalm, the words, "Be still and know that I am God," are well known for catching the reader's attention. The next part is to reflect on these words. How do they speak to you and your life? The third part is to respond. You may feel gratitude for hearing these words, giving you permission to be still, to draw closer to God, your Creator. You may feel encouraged to sift through all your activity and see what can be laid aside at this time. Finally, we are called to rest. Just simply rest in the silence, bathing in God's attention and love for you, just as you are. I wonder, how has beauty touched you? The practice of Lectio Divina can also be used to contemplate a piece of art, as well as a beautiful natural phenomenon, such as a rainbow, a tiny crocus, or a murmuration of starlings. I was introduced to this on an online retreat recently at Laund Abbey. I learned a great deal. Artists often try to capture beauty in their paintings. I wonder whether we can discover beauty in this painting by the Renaissance painter Domenico Ghirlandaio. Let us pray that God will open our eyes to all that is beautiful. May our spirits respond to the gift of beauty offered to us. First of all, you may like to read the painting. What do you see? Well, there's a young boy in the bottom right in the picture. And he is gazing up at an old man, possibly his grandfather, who dominates this painting. There is a green, flourishing hill in the background and a not so attractive rock. Now you may like to respond. The old man does not have a beautiful face, but he does look very warm and affectionate. The child adores his grandfather, and there is an exchange of mutual love between them. The child is beautiful, unblemished, perfect. The old man is wrinkled. He has a cauliflower nose, but he is still attractive because his inner beauty shines through. We are drawn to him. The hill is classically attractive, but the rock is not so attractive. Maybe, thinking like me, you feel that it represents us, who've been ravaged over the years, bearing scars and marks in our bodies and also our souls. These show that we are not perfect people. Let us reflect. Yes, we are not immediately beautiful, possibly. The divine artist sees us as perhaps the old man in the painting. Our love, care, and compassion radiate and are evident to God. We are still beautiful. In fact, more beautiful than when we hide behind a mask of pretense. We are not like the perfect Tuscan hill green covered with olive trees and oleander bushes. We are more like the craggy rock or mountain. How does God see our woundedness? Let him gaze upon us. Let us allow ourselves to be seen and loved by God. Let us rest in his presence while we listen to the next piece of music, composed and played by Carrie Lewin Camp. I stumbled upon this young man 20 years ago. He's probably a middle-aged man now, playing his guitar outside the information centre for Cradle Mountain in Tasmania. I was surrounded by magnificent wilderness, accompanied by the beautiful, gentle tones of Carrie's music. The following film contains some recognizable faces. Each of these people radiates an inner peace, an inner beauty. I wonder if you can recognize, or whether you would like to seek, the inner beauty within you. During Lent, may we discover and accept that we are beautiful in God's eyes. God accepts us just as we are. He would far rather we came to him without one of the masks which we tend to hide behind. One good thing which has come from the pandemic is that we have become more authentic, more real, because through our mutual experience of the lack of human contact, we can now see what really matters to us. We are like an onion whose outer skins have been peeled back, making us more vulnerable, but more real and useful. One of my favourite children's books is The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Fish. Many of you know this. This book always has a profound impact on children because at the heart of it is the spiritual truth that love is the essence of why we are here. A conversation takes place between two toys, a rabbit and an old battered skin horse. The brand new cuddly rabbit asks the horse, "What is real?" "Oh, real isn't how you are made," said the skin horse. "It's a thing that happens to you." When a child loves you for a long, long time, he continued, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. "Does it hurt?" asked the rabbit. "Oh, sometimes," said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt." "Does it happen all at once or bit by bit?" "Oh, it doesn't happen all at once," said the skin horse. "You become. It takes a long time." Everyone needs to know that they are loved just as they are. In our journey through life, the greatest discovery of all is that we are loved by God. Only that love makes us completely real. We are beautiful to God. Knowing and accepting this is a pearl of great price. For as John Keats said, beauty is truth, and truth is beauty. And now to our stilling. During the stilling, you may like to hold something of beauty to you. Maybe a flower, a treasured photograph, a pebble, or a poem. Let us prepare ourselves. You may like to adjust your seating position and have a little stretch right through from your toes, through your body, and right through to your fingertips. Move your shoulders up and down and pull your shoulder blades back down your back. Now, if you like, gently turn your head to the right and now back to the center and now to the left and back to the center. At this point, you may like to close your eyes and just follow the breath in and out. You may like to repeat the verse, "Be still and know that I am God," as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Stay there, or if you are holding something of beauty, open your eyes and gently focus on your flower or object. Notice the features and changes of colour within your beautiful object, but try not to analyse them or comment on them. Feel the texture. Smell it. And then soften your gaze and just let the Creator speak to you through the beauty of this object. How has beauty changed you? Watching my thoughts, imagining them like living water, dappled with shadows in the changing light, or cloud patterns drifting overhead. I step back and simply observe the flow. It draws me into something other, always there beneath the surface ripples, ever flowing, deeper than time, the stream of life itself, within and yet beyond. And now we will go into our 20 minutes of silence. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face. In the light of the moon and the patterns of stars, in sacred mountain rifts and ancient groves, in mighty seas and creatures of the deep. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face, in the light of eyes we love, in the salt of tears we have tasted, in weathered countenances, east and west, in the soft skin glow of the child everywhere. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face. There is your face among us. It has been a great pleasure to share this hour with you. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Like last month, this session has been a team effort. Thank you to Bob, Roger Whitehead, and Henry Smith for their superb photography. Thank you to all of you who kindly agreed to be filmed, showing that inner beauty just within them radiates out to the whole world. Thank you and good night.